You're listening to S Radio, powered by Salet USA TV. Tuning at www.415-96radio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Salet USA TV. And on Facebook at www.facebook.com. Salet USA TV.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us right here on SIB in Atlanta. We are glad that you stopped by. My name is Marcus Salet, a.k.a. The Coach, and we appreciate you. Don't forget now to follow us right there on Twitter, on Facebook.com/Salet USA TV, as well as on Instagram and on YouTube at Salet USA TV. We're going to have a great show today. We're talking about the possibility of your child's rights being violated as the school endeavors to solve its incident problems, its disciplinary problems at school. Right now we're talking about the Gwinnett County school system and any public school system that will have some of the components that we're going to be talking about. And we may review a little bit of the letter from Ray Jasper, as we were talking about on SIBN Networks on last evening. A young man who was convicted and is scheduled to be executed in the month of March, which is this month. If you're listening on demand, it's already passed. We're going to probably just talk a little bit about that letter that he has written as a warning also to all parents and those who are at risk in their respective communities. So thank you so very much again for joining us. The word of the day and this day in history and what's going on in the news a little bit and so much more. This is SIBN Atlanta.
If I tell all he's done for me, where would I begin? His love is the reason I'm alive and it shows. Don't tell it everywhere I go. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. No, can't nobody do me like the Lord. No one. Can't nobody do me like Jesus.
Listening to the newly released song and video, Nobody by Cassandra Stewart, the artist featured here on SIB in Atlanta this episode. And so whatever you do, go to Cassandra Stewart's website. We'll have all that information coming up here in just a few minutes. The word of the day is coming up next on the backside. This is Cassandra Stewart, and you're listening to SIBN Atlanta.
Nobody knows. So get up on your feet and lift your hands up to the King. No matter young or old, we all can give him the glory. Everybody has a testimony, truth be told. So if anybody asks you who, better tell them no. Nobody. Jesus. Nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord can. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no.
You're listening to SIBN Radio, powered by Salette USA TV, tuning 24/7 at www.415-96radio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Salette USA TV and on Facebook at www.facebook.com.
It's not enough to have material wealth. The measure of a man or woman is from the inside out and not from the outside in. Don't trick yourself. You will wreck yourself trying to impress others and trying to keep up with the Smiths and the Joneses. It's about time that you start looking at the finish line. And at DCC, we offer the hardest core motivation, daily inspiration for your spiritual foundation that you can find. Why? Because our philosophy is simple. We are the common denominator in every situation. This is SIBN Atlanta. Well, thank you so very much for joining us right here as we prepare to encourage you regarding some very key issues. 38 degrees right now in the city of Atlanta. 75 is the expected high on today. 45 is the expected low. Tuesday is going to bump up a little bit more, and Wednesday and Thursday. But I do believe a cold front was supposed to be coming through according to the forecast that I watched on yesterday, but it looks like according to the chart that I'm looking at right now, it may not come through, but rain is expected on Wednesday, and also by all means this weekend possibility of rain, but the weather is in and out, so winter is not over. So whatever you do, keep yourself encouraged with a little sweater, a little windbreaker, you know what I'm saying. And the pollen and all the trees are confused right now, trying to figure out whether or not they're going to be budding or whether or not they're going to be frozen out. You know, so whatever you do, keep it locked right here. A little bit later on, the U.S. Supreme Court has held that students do not shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. However, as a result of the current educational climate, including zero tolerance and discipline procedures, students' constitutional rights have been limited on school grounds. And despite an expansion of juvenile rights during delinquency proceedings, the court has continually curtailed juvenile rights in schools. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. We're going to go back to the boards. You're listening to the sounds of Cassandra Stewart right here on SIBN Radio. We'll be right back.
The one and only Cass. Yeah, it's another Clip production. Let's go.
When every step feels like miles, when every day feels like years, I know you are with me in the darkness you're here. When my nights I spend praying and my strength is all gone, that's when I'm hanging on. 'Cause in the end I'll be shining like a pot of gold. like this all gone.
Just hang on.
That's when you can hang on.
Yes, you're listening to the sounds of Come Alive, Cassandra Stewart. You can visit her website, www.csmusicgirl.com. As we are going forth in our topic on today, in the backside of this, we're going to have the word of the day. Whatever you do, enjoy today. Today is Monday, and if you're listening on demand, it's any day that you choose. But whatever you do, you've got to come alive. And this is Cassandra Stewart, featured artist of the week right here on SIB in Atlanta. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's get back to the cut. Come alive. Cassandra Stewart on deck.
Come alive, come alive, come alive, oh come alive. Let up your super blue to the sky. Keep that head up high. Oh, walking like you're heaven bound. Was lost but now you're found. Lift up your super blue to the sky. Keep that head up high. Oh, walking like you're heaven bound. Was lost but now you'll be shining like a pot of gold. Standing at the end of a rainbow. Your eyes from demise, there'll be no surprise. Faith kept you alive. Inside, you come alive. When you touch Christ, and you're so strong. May you stand on His word. Come alive, you come alive. You come alive, you come alive. You come alive, you come alive. Come alive, oh come alive. You come alive, you come alive. You come alive, you come alive. You come alive, you come alive. Come alive, oh come alive.
Now is the time. Now is the time. Have your radio show on SIBN Radio. You're ready to share your message with the world. Then call 404-910-5019. That's right, call 404-910-5019. Producing your radio show on SIBN Radio. For more information, dial 404-910-5019. That's right. 404-910-5019. Now is the time.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us right here on SIBN Radio. Of course, by all means, follow us right there on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Select USA TV. And thank you for following us and subscribing. Don't forget, now you can join the Media Club. You can join the Media Club right there at www. We support Select USA TV. And the Media Club has its benefits. So if you're not a member of the Media Club, and in the future, in the near future here, if you're not a subscriber, you will not be able to know what benefits you could be enjoying as an artist, author, entrepreneur, someone who's trying to get the word out about what you're doing, your mission, your brand, so forth and so on. We've been talking about, just for a brief moment, we've been talking about the constitutionality of public school systems in the rigorous process of disciplining the children. We want to warn all parents, let's just say this before we get to the word of the day, we want to warn all parents for their children to call your parents, instruct your children to call you before any disciplinary process is continued in the school, because we are finding out that children are being railroaded, and in some cases, many cases more than not, prepared for juvenile justice and going through juvenile justice because they have no representation at the school regarding their rights. The Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights are stampeded upon in the Gwinnett public school system. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But suffice it is to say that children need to have an advocate on school grounds to advocate their constitutional rights to due process. And in Gwinnett County Schools, an administrator told me that all we need is a suspicion of guilt We do not need to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We do not have to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. All we need is reasonable suspicion. And I was thinking the other day, as you think about all of the different things that have gone on with the APS public school system, it is interesting to note that while administrators and educators make sure that they want to advocate that students follow the rules, and along with parents, that the APS system is caught up in a scandal as well as in a court proceeding, multiple court proceedings, because of their cheating. And so let us not put aside the fact, it's just like with the financial institutions, how they charge you $35 when you have no sufficient funds, but who went to jail during the financial crisis? No one. And so who protected your rights as a consumer? And this is part of what Obama was trying to do. Not that I agree with everything that he's trying to do in the country, because I just, as a side note, over the weekend, I went to try to sign up for the Obamacare or the ACA, and I tell you, the premiums was off the chain. That's a whole nother show, another day. But I want to warn all the parents that tell your children not to sign any document at the local public schools where your children are attending unless you are there. Unless you are there, or unless you just don't care, because those documents are being used to process your children through a disciplinary proceeding that is not advocating the children's rights or their position should they be innocent. And so we're going to talk more about that when we come back. On the deck is Cassandra Stewart, who is being featured right here on SIBN Radio. Shout out to her. You can also visit her website, www.csmusicgirl.com, and enjoy her new single, or her new, I want to say LP, because she's got about 5 songs, and she's also have a video out. So whatever you do, if you want to be a featured artist, you must be a member of SCGPW. We'll have a commercial coming up about that sometime here in a few minutes. But suffice it is to say, you can visit www.WeSupportSelectUSATV.com. Register there free of charge, and also stay tuned for more details about our artist program as we move forward. That's right, Cassandra Stewart is on deck. We're going to go back to a little bit more of her, and then when we come back, I promise you we will have the word of the day. Are you feeling okay? I hope that you are. This is SIBN Atlanta.
Forever.
All right, we're back with SIB in Atlanta. And now let's go back to the studio with Marcus Select for the word of the day. The word of the day is, are you ready? Ravenous. Ravenous is the word of the day. Ravenous. Extremely hungry, voracious, predatory in nature, greedy for gratification. The senator exhibited a ravenous display of power. That's the way you would use it in a sentence, you know. Ravenous is the word of the day. Ravenous. Why don't you expand your vocabulary and minimize the vulgarity? I need some help right there. This is the coach right here on SIBN Radio. Thanks so much for joining us. You've been listening to the sounds of Cassandra Stewart. Don't forget now to visit her website, www.csmusicgirl.com. And our conversation of the day is surrounding the constitutionality of students at public schools, which the schools now seemingly have been giving too much leeway by the court system to use a process that does not advocate the student's position and or Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. And I wanted to get to some of my notes here so that I could bring you up to speed to some of the things that I'm talking about. First of all, as I said earlier, I want you to make sure, parents, that you are not allowing your children to sign any more documents at the school regarding any disciplinary action. I want you to instruct your students to call you first. DJ, bring that down. I want you to instruct all of your students to call you first during the process of any disciplinary action, because we are facing a very serious legal argument in the legal community. And I'm not a lawyer, but as I have been researching, and the legal team has been researching it here, the research team has been researching the legal arguments regarding this topic, we are finding some very, very disturbing trends. And so I want you to make sure first, my first part of this that I'm sharing today, disseminating today, is for parents to instruct their students not to sign any documents, guilty or not, until a parent or guardian is on the scene, particularly for instances that may require suspension or expulsion. Now, you would know that, you wouldn't know that unless you read the student handbook. And so, parents, I'm advocating that you also read over the student handbook and perhaps highlight those charges that would require the administrators at your local public school to suspend your student beyond in-school suspension. The precedence is absolutely unbelievable. As I have been reading over a lot of legal jargon, the best that I could surmise for you is that this is going on 24/7. Sorry, 24/7 may be a bad word, but the point of the matter, it is going on all the time. And so my first advocacy for 2014 and 15 is going to be for all parents to instruct their students, guilty or not to sign any documents of which the student may deem to be a punishment for a particular action or disciplinary action taken by an administrator, unless a guardian or parent is on the scene. Now, why is this? This is because that same document not only can be used in the public school arena to send your child through a punishment that is interrupting his educational pursuits, but also could be used in the juvenile criminal justice system to charge your child and potentially sentence your child to juvenile detention. And so it is and I'm going to be repeating this over and over for the next 12 months. This is my own campaign that I'm having, because it's come to my attention that students are not being advocated or represented in these types of systems, particularly the public school system, that what we're talking about right now. And they're there 8 to 9 hours a day. for not only their educational curriculum, but also for extracurricular activities. And we're finding that these students are being written up in the office. There is no tape recording of the interview. I'm going to get to that a little bit later. There is no video of the interview. The administrators can get other administrators to collaborate any story that they choose to the direction of guilt, and or also award punishment, poor choice of words, but award punishment to your child, interrupting that child's educational pursuits and extracurricular activities, and branding your child along with other children whose parents are not involved, who don't care what their children do, and therefore you could have a railroaded situation on your hands if your child has aspirations, of course, by all means, to get a scholarship or to go to college and what have you. So I want to first, as I repeat, warn all parents, and I will be instructing my production department to begin commercials and a print ad copy along the lines of advocating for students' rights on public school property and campuses. This is a very serious issue. I myself, as a child growing up, was accused of multiple things, and I won't go into that in this particular show, but I can assure you that I paid a heavy price because there was no tolerance in the 70s, there was no tolerance in the 80s, and there's no tolerance now. There's never been any tolerance when it comes to African American students or students of minority groups. There's never been any tolerance. I don't know what this zero tolerance. We came out of the civil rights movement with no tolerance. And so I don't understand the zero tolerance. You know, we're not going to put up with teachers. Where were the parents who should have been advocating for their students in masses regarding the APS scandal? Where were those parents? Where were those parents? There should have been an outcry online. There should have been an outcry in the streets. There should have been an outcry in emails. I'm talking about there should have been an uproar because schools make a hell of a lot of noise about students breaking their rules. But what happens when administrators and teachers break the rules that we as parents who hold values and try to teach values to our kids? What happens when those teachers and administrators break their word? Who and where do we turn? And so I'm going to be in conference with the ACLU and the NAACP as I formulate my advocacy for student rights, Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, constitutional rights. Now, it is also said in the legal community, before I go to commercial break, it is also said in the legal community that children, when they step onto the campus of your public school where you're sending them, would be DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, Walton County, whatever county you're in across the nation, really, when they go to that campus, the legal community is suggesting that they don't have a right to remain silent. And when we come back a little bit later, we're going to talk about that. If you're going to process a student for a charge that could cause them to have a long-term suspension or expulsion or even juvenile charges, then it should be the norm. It should be the American way on public school property and campuses of which the homeowners in that district, in that county, are paying for that educational process. You are paying for this with your property taxes, but yet when you send your child to public schools, your child is subject to disciplinary action, or I should say, before the action of discipline, your child is subject to a disciplinary process and not afforded advocates or representation for the child's interests. This is a bias. This is a prejudice. This is not something that I'm going to be silent about. I want you to spread the word on Twitter. Maybe we'll have a hashtag later on. I want you to spread the word on Facebook. I want you to ask your child about this. Have you been called into any disciplinary action? Have you been questioned? How have you been questioned? How long have you been questioned? We'll talk a little bit more about that. But suffice it is to say that Ravenists are the powers of our public school system. And I think that parents need to be Ravenists, talking about the word of the day. We need to be extremely hungry for justice everywhere, or there will be no justice anywhere. This is SIBN Atlanta. We'll be right back. responsible, accountable. Who taught you that? My daddy taught me that. That's right, the new book all the way from Asheville, North Carolina, representing the legacy of Benny Lake is Keenan Lake, the author of My Daddy Taught Me That, the book and the program for young men in Asheville, North Carolina and throughout the region. Tune in to the program, the project, and the book at mydaddytaughtmethat.com. For more information, email lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com or call 828-582-2261. That's 828-582-2261. mydaddytaughtmethat.com. It's not enough to have material wealth. The measure of a man or woman is from the inside out and not from the outside in. Don't trick yourself. You will wreck yourself trying to impress others and trying to keep up with the Smiths and the Joneses. It's about time that you start looking at the finish line. And at DCC, we offer the hardest core motivation, daily inspiration for your spiritual foundation that you can find. Why? Because our philosophy is simple. We are the common denominator in every situation. Your lifestyle improvement station.
Hi, Jamaica Chapel, College Park, Georgia, in the house. You're listening to SIBN Radio.
Hi, this is Ted Bones calling from Richmond, Virginia, and you're listening to the Lifestyle Improvement Station, SIBN Radio. Y'all turn it up now.
Hi, this is VJ Washington calling from Atlanta, Georgia. You're listening to the Lifestyle Improvement Station, SIBN Radio. So turn it up.
Hi, my name is Sonia Claiborne from East St. Louis, Illinois, by way of Columbusville, Missouri. You're listening to the Lifestyle Improvement Station, SIBN Radio. Turn it up.
What's good? It's your boy Joe coming from Snellville, Georgia. You're listening to the Lifestyle Improvement Station, SIBN Radio. Y'all turn it up.
You're listening to the sounds of your lifestyle improvement station, changing the way we live. SIBN FM, powered by Select USA TV. Don't forget the artists of the week featured right here on SIBN Atlanta, Cassandra Stewart, as we go right into the cut. Nobody. Visit her www.csmusicgirl.com. We'll be right back with more. This is SIBN Atlanta.
Everywhere I go, can't nobody do me like Jesus. No, can't nobody do me like the Lord. No one, can't nobody do me like Jesus. No, can't nobody do me like the Lord. No one, nobody. Live without you. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Nobody, no. Nobody, no.
SIBN Atlanta. And now a look at your weather. Right here. on SIBN Atlanta. Yes, the weather is 75 degrees expected high on today, 45 the expected low Tuesday. Bumping it up a couple of more degrees, 77. A little bit of rain on Wednesday and possibly on the weekend. Whatever you do, keep a windbreaker, sweater. We don't want you to get a cold, and then watch out for those allergies. We'll have more on SIB in Atlanta when we come back. You're listening to the sounds of Cassandra Stewart on SIBN Atlanta.
Nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Nobody, no. Nobody, no. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no.
Thank you so much for joining us right here on SIB in Atlanta. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget to follow us right there on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're talking about the constitutionality of the disciplinary process on public school campuses and whether or not your child is at severe risk. Now, for those of you whose children never do anything wrong, perhaps this is not afforded to you information that you can use, but I assure you that you need to be warned regarding this process that is not due and fair to the student because of the repercussions that it could have. Let's talk about the repercussions before we talk about how we got to this topic. Number one, repercussions, long-term suspension. Number two, expulsion from school. Number three, it could go on the child's academic record if he's in a grade higher than ninth grade. And also, number four, I should say that it could cause a severe interruption in the child's educational goals and pursuits. And so parents need to be aware that they need to tell their children, even if their children think that they are guilty or believe that they are guilty, and also in the absence of physical evidence, but even in the absence and or presence of physical evidence, children need to have an advocate or a representative who stands in for the child's interest in public school systems of which the tax dollars of the citizens in that particular district and county are paying for that campus to be open and to be thriving educationally speaking. And so we understand that administrators and teachers want to curtail any behavior problems that quote unquote disrupt the educational process. But make no mistake about it, we have been I want to say bewitched here. We have been bewitched here into thinking that when we send our children to schools, that their interest is being held at a high regard. I beg to differ because even with the APS scandal, we find that the teachers and administrators began to cheat, not because they wanted the students to pass, but because they wanted federal funds so that they would be rated in the state's listings as schools of high performance, and they also wanted other perks and privileges that came along with that rating. And so I never heard once that the students, the teachers and the administrators cheated because they were so worried about the children not being able to. You see what I'm saying? So I want to also talk about one of the core methods by which the children's constitutional rights are being violated, and that process is done through the interview in an endeavor of an administrator or teacher or the combination of all involved there to bring disciplinary peace and action to the school, that the interviewing or the interrogating process must have child representation there, because children are admitting to things, they're signing things that they do not know the repercussions thereof. And so we are finding that the interrogation or the interview process could, as we know in the legal community, are filled with several things. Number one, during an interrogation, during an interview, it is also possible that these 7 things are present. Number one, that the interviewer is making interjections, that they're suggesting things that now the student without an advocate or representation would now under pressure, of which I had an administrator tell me, well, the students are under no pressure at all. Excuse me? No, students are always under pressure when they are facing administrators or teachers or administrators who are calling them forth regarding a infraction of the student handbook. They are always under pressure, whether they're guilty or not. They are always under pressure. Let's get that correct. But making interjections, inducing a student to say something that he or she may not understand or may not know, again, what the repercussions or the consequences of such said statements may be. And then a 3 is aggressive or passive questioning. Passive questioning to the degree where the administrator appears to be friendly, appears to be the student's friend. I need some help right here. Appears to want the student to, confess for the purposes of getting on with his educational pursuits, when in fact the student may confess to something that impedes his educational pursuit and also incriminates that student to the degree that that student now is completely shocked that he is now or she is now suffering the consequences of her said statements that, again, could be extracted from that student without an advocate or legal representation, let alone parental representation of the student's constitutional rights. Number 4, failure to caution the students that what you're getting ready to say could incriminate you and lead to juvenile charges and or severe penalty under the school student rule handbook, whether it be 7A, 7F, E1, whatever the case may be. Failure to caution the student that they have a right to remain silent. In the endeavor to keep peace, in the endeavor, quote unquote, to ensure that the educational journey is not interrupted with a bunch of behavior problems, what we have seen in the legal community, according to the debates that is being held by lawyers all over the country, is that the schools are given a pass to forego student rights in an effort to keep peace. But what the trends are beginning to show statistically, particularly for minorities and African American students, this is a pathway to creating a pool of recidivism, where children now become revolving statistics, a revolving number in and out of juvenile justice. And of course, we know what that does. That sets another precedence for the child that it's okay to go to jail, or that the probability of you going to jail is very high. So why not just violate the law altogether? Number 5, bad faith or breach of trust in the interview, where the person promises something that he or she as an administrator cannot deliver. Well, all you're going to get is 3 days suspension, and then you get a phone call as a parent while the child is on 3 day suspension. I'm sorry, but we have escalated this to a hearing. Why? Because the child has signed a statement that is now incriminating them and leading them to an action or a consequence that is higher than what was promised during the interview. I need some help. And then the breach of trust, because children trust the administrators in a general sense, and they trust the teachers and those that are at the school campus in the general sense. So why are we subjecting these kids to interviews and then switching up on them as administrators in an endeavor, quote unquote, to keep the peace and make sure that the educational pursuits and journey therein is not interrupted because of discipline problems? Listen, I'm all for making sure that we have discipline in schools. I'm all for making sure that we have students that comply with the student handbooks. And I'm not so sure that the student handbook should be the only legal document that students have. The parents ought to be able to give some kind of formatted handbook that what we require of the school administrators. It is unfair for us to go into this fight to make sure that the children comply with the rules and regulations without some kind of display of rights and advocacy for the student if she or he may be innocent of the charges that is levied against him or her by the school administrators or teachers. So bad faith and breach of trust and coercion is number 6. In the interview process, wouldn't you not think, parents, those of you that listen to me out there, and paraprofessionals, that an experienced interviewer and interrogator could extract information that is incriminating from the student in that interrogation or interview process. And number 5, a lack of mental assessment, of which we do not know that the administrators that is interviewing or interrogating the children, we do not know their credentials beyond the educational process. In other words, do they have a psychological certification that allows them now to assess the mental condition and diagnoses of the students, and that they are capable and that they are able to, in a balanced sense, mentally and cognitively deliver such statements with the understanding of what those statements could cause? I don't think so. And so here we have uncovered, SIBN has uncovered a quiet storm right there on your public school campus of constitutional violation of your child's right to due process. And by the way, as I said earlier in my statements, that the legal community's statement on one research document that I was studying and our research team was studying is that your student does not have a right to remain silent on the school campus. There is something wrong with that situation. There's something wrong with that. And so I'm going to be advocating in print copy, in commercials, in shows from this day, well, I've already started, but from this show forward, that parents need to be aware that the pathway to imprisonment for your child could be the very simple process of disciplinary action at your local school. This is not something you want to take lightly. We'll be right back after this.
Right away. Let me loose. Locked in the dungeon, organized, produced. How could you refuse? Made for the slum, this one is for you. Hustlers, trappers, rappers, twisting up your backwards, sipping heavy proof in the backwoods. It's an everyday struggle.
Ustedes están escuchando SIBN, transmitido por Salet USA TV. Síguenos en Twitter @SaletUSATV o visítenos en www.41596radio.com.
Responsible. Accountable. Who taught you that? My daddy taught me that. That's right, the new book all the way from Asheville, North Carolina, representing the legacy of Benny Lake is Keenan Lake. The author of My Daddy Taught Me That, the book and the program for young men in Asheville, North Carolina and throughout the region. Tune in to the program, the project, and the book at mydaddytaughtmethat.com. For more information, email lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com or call 828-582-2261. That's 828-582-2261. mydaddytaughtmethat.com.
I need you to realize and accept that there is only one philosophy that I have embraced under the Coach's Corner's umbrella, and that is that we are the common denominator in every situation. So I can't blame them, they, her, and him. I am stepping up to the plate, and I realize it's all me. Not that it's all about me, but it's all about the legacy for those that come behind me to achieve a height of success that I can't even imagine. This is called the transgenerational shift of mindsets, that we may propel ourselves into the generations that is to come and tell them, I won't leave you a mess that you have to clean up, but I'll leave you a principle-centered life that you can celebrate and catapult into more success. Join me on the Coach's Corner at www.415-96radio.com. That's www.415-96radio.com. And follow me on Twitter. That's the only way you can keep up with the coach. That's right, DCC is in the house on SIBN Radio. Tune in.
Ustedes.
If you wonder why you can't find us, we ain't hiding, we just stay on the move. We be in the studio, laying low, rolling smoke. Trav Wright singing lyrics, but he don't smoke. Malachi spitting lyrics, believe they smoke. Whopper T play the MP, including the keys. OBG bring the house down, crumble your knees. Spread out through the streets like you wouldn't believe. That's right, you know we missing Mimi Green. Paul used to sing with the Chosen Three, finesse. But now we back as OPG, fatigue. Malachi Trav Wright the three. Hold it down till we lay down under the ground. Just some Southern men trained and we came to win. If you wonder why you can't.
And we got a student that sued a principal for violating her Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights during a detention and interview. We'll talk a little bit more about that in our last segment coming up here in just a few moments. You're listening to the house artist, Malachi, in the house. Whatever you do, check him out as well on Reverb Nation and all over the internet. Hey, listen, by all means, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Select USA TV. And don't forget to visit us for a 24-hour motivation and inspiration for your spiritual foundation at www.415-96radio. This is SIBN.
I pretend that melody like a puzzle, publishing soon bubble, spin this on a double. Work with Rigo Wade, Jazzy J, plus naughty by nature, outlaws, dead press. Shaw Clinton 95, P did in 93, before Big first LP. Usher was working on his first LP. Devontae was writing up a diary. Intro, he used to harmonize with Kenny Green. He wrote a couple hits for Mary's first LP. Jay Blige, you feeling it, but really obliged. Carolina representing y'all is truly an honor. If you wonder why you can't find us, we ain't hiding, we just stay on the move. On the move. If you wonder why you can't find us, we ain't hiding, we just stay on the move. On the move.
Sherry left Carolina some time ago. Big dreams, big schemes, you see. Nothing was impossible. We played the wind, roll with the wind. Slid through your town, stayed a little while. Never forgot the love y'all laid down. Y'all stay on my mind while we on the grind. We'll be back with hot tracks.
If you wonder where we've been, stick and move. When moving through the street, gotta watch how you move. OBG study rules. Ain't no telling when them goons wanna move in my group with the tool, cause we sick with the tune. Soon blow like balloon to the sky, touch the moon, make it sound.
You're listening to the sounds of SIB in Atlanta. The student sues the principal for violating her Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights during a detention and interview. I believe back in 2006, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals recently decided a case that involved a student principal's detention and interview of a student regarding her distribution of prescription drugs to another student. The A&E, the subject plaintiff in the lawsuit, was a 7th grade student of Grant County Middle School in May of 2006. A&E is bipolar and suffers from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And to manage these conditions, she takes Adderall. Many of you are familiar with that. So during the school year 2004-2005, A&E received the medication daily at lunchtime. Pursuant to school policies and procedures, A&E medication was maintained in the school nurse's office where she went each day to receive it. But on May 26 of 2005, the last day of school, A&E went to the nurse's office for her lunchtime medicine administration of Adderall, and as she had done for the entire school year at that time, there were 4 Adderall tablets left. The school nurse, defendant Edmondson, returned the remaining 4 tablets to A&E in the original container. A&E requested to return at the end of the day to pick up the remaining tablets rather than take them to class with her. Notice now what she requested. She requested, can I pick these up at the end of the day? The nurse told A&E to take the remaining medicine with her, even though it was in the middle of the school day. and advised Annie not to give any of the tablets to anyone else. Annie had nowhere to keep the medicine because she had no longer had access to her locker and neither her purse or her backpack. Therefore, she gave the medicine to her teacher, Miss Moore, for safekeeping. The students left the classroom at that time to engage in outside activities, and when they returned to the classroom, the teacher returned the medicine to A&E. The students then went to their last class of the day, where there was a different teacher, Miss Babel. Miss Babel showed a movie and served refreshments. Miss Babel was in and out of the classroom during the movie. It was during class that another student, SW, noticed Annie's medication container and asked what was in it. SNW, student's name has been changed to protect the student's identity. SNW asked for one of the pills. At first, Annie refused. After she continued pressuring, after the SW continued pressuring the student A&E relented and gave SW one of her Adderall pills. Approximately 2 days later, the assistant principal, defendant James Lacey, called T&E, A&E's mother, and asked if she was aware of the events. Now, I want to also just pause right here, and I want to ask y'all a question. It sounds like to me that assistant principals got too much power. I mean, they are completely ravenous. You know, ravenous was our word of the day. I'm just saying. And you might want to just double check and check again, because every time I read of an incident in any legal argument, it's always the assistant principal that pushed. So is the assistant principal really a sheriff on school campus, being disguised as an assistant principal? And if he or she is a sheriff, then do he or she have law enforcement training? And is he or she aware of the constitutionality of a student's rights on school campus? Or does he or she have no rights as a student in the public school? I'm just saying. All right. Approximately 2 days later, the assistant principal, defendant James Lacey, called A&E's mother and asked if she was aware of the event. She responded that A&E had told her about them when she came home from the school day. As in the situations that I will explain in other shows, that the student that I talked to, he was forthcoming and all of the same scenario. The assistant principal Lacey then informed T&E that a deputy sheriff would be coming to interview A&E about this incident over the summer break. However, T&E was never contacted by law enforcement over the summer. School resumed that August of 2005, and A&E returned to Grant County Middle Schools to begin her 8th grade year. And on the first day of school, assistant principal Lacey, this so-called sheriff that have ravenous power, called Annie to his office and asked her about what happened on the last day of school the previous May. He was unaware at this time that a sheriff deputy had not contacted Annie over the summer break. Assistant Principal Lacey asked Annie if she remembered the events. Now watch, she's already went through the summer, because she's going back to school on August. Thank you, Mr. DJ. She went back to school on August. And now she's called now to bring into account events that happened the previous in the spring. That is alarming. Anyway, the assistant principal Lacey asked Annie if she remembers the events of the last day of school and required her. I hope you parents are listening to me, because I'm going to be doing this for 12 months. For the next year, I'm going to be advocating this. The assistant principal, who is not a law enforcement officer, who is not a psychologist who could assess whether or not she's able to do this, who is not a judge and a jury, now he has been given the power to require her to make a statement, which she then required to date and sign. Thereafter, Annie was sent back to class, leaving that document in the hands. I need some help. I hope that you share this show with a friend. If you have friends and relatives who have kids in public schools, I hope you share this show with them, because I want you to see the ravenous incidents here. The overexertion, the extremely powerful assistant principal now has in his possession the signed, dated, and sealed statement of a student, of a minor, on a public campus with no representation, with no advocate, that what she was submitting to an assistant principal was simply an incriminating document, as I will continue to read. The assistant principal asked Annie if she remembers, so forth and so on. The plaintiff claimed that she was not informed that she was free to leave the office, or that her written statement would be turned over to the police for purposes of charging her with criminal activity. A copy of the statement was not placed in A&E's school file. Approximately 1 week later, the assistant principal, Lacey, met with A&E, and he called both A&E and SW to his office. Here he goes again. He asked them what had happened on May 26th. Now, remember now, she's already moved through school and enjoyed her summer. And the sheriff never came. And now we're talking about in August, while she's back to school, now he's calling 2 students to recall incidents that happened in May. Annie remained silent during this meeting. Assistant Principal Lacey then issued each girl a 1-day suspension and told them that they would be subject to a 6-month probation through the juvenile justice system. The second meeting was held with A&E, and the second meeting was held after A&E had submitted the written statement that was later given to the officer. A&E and her mother were contacted by a court designee, CDW, and notified of a meeting at juvenile court to be held in that October. At that time, A&E was given the option to enter into, watch this now, here's the punishment. Here is the punishment. I hope I don't go over my time. Here is the punishment. She was given the option to enter into a diversion agreement or face formal court proceedings. A&E chose the diversion program. The record does not detail who was present at the meeting or who presented the options to A&E. Ultimately, S&E sued on behalf of A&E and alleged numerous state and federal violations, as well as violations of the 4th and 5th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, and the constitutional allegations are the subject of this article. I don't know if I'm going to go over my time. First, the plaintiff alleges that when the principal summoned her to the office to investigate, he was acting at the behest of, or as an agent of, law enforcement in obtaining the statement. The plaintiff bases the argument on the fact that Kentucky has a state statute that requires school personnel to notify law enforcement of such incidents. Additionally, school district policy also require reporting such an incident to law enforcement. Finally, the plaintiff points to the fact that Annie's written statement was not placed in her school records. Thus, the plaintiff argued that the principal conducted the detention and the interview to circumvent the more stringent rules applied to law. I got to stop right there. I'm going to have to take this up a little later. But as I told you, and I will tell you again, parents, do not allow your students to be subject to interviews, of which I have outlined in this show, that there are 7 interview tactics that an experienced administrator will use: making interjections, inducement, aggressive passive questioning, failure to caution the student about the consequences of his or her statements and that they should have a right to remain silent, bad faith, breach of trust, coercion, a lack of mental assessment for their ability to even recall events or be able to accurately give a statement, and so forth and so on. I have already warned you. I will warn you again for the entire year that this is an injustice to the taxpayer. This is an injustice to someone who is expecting their child to go to school, and those parents of you out there who don't have behavior issues with your children of any sort should also be outraged that your child's potentiality of constitutional representation at the school is null and void. I gotta go. It's null and void. You, as a parent, have no repercussions whatsoever. In the hands of an assistant principal who has been given too much or ravenous power. I gotta stop. I don't even know what else to say. I am outraged. I am absolutely livid about the possibility of how this can ruin a student's academic aspirations. I am absolutely livid about this, and I will for the next 12 months plus. I've told my production staff, prepare commercials. I've told my graphic department, prepare ad copy. I am going all out to ensure that you are forewarned about the possibility that your child's 4th and 5th Amendment rights, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, search and seizure. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that. We'll talk about that more. This is SIBN Atlanta.
To the masses, so pay attention, young and yearning for the better things in life. It's a fight, it's a struggle just to live in life. And what's right, but I'm a hustler, motherfucker, 10 toes in the dirt. And I'm a grind for what it's worth until I'm laid in dirt. Put in work to get my profit, I still hostage on the come up, so I keep my eyes open, keep my focus, and I'm a gun up, I got too much.
South Africa are tuned in to SIBN Radio at www.415-96radio.com. If you would like to know more about the SIBN television and radio network, complete a contact form at the website www.415-96radio.com. Salet USA TV, reaching the world.
Well, that's my time for today. This is SIBN Atlanta.
Amazing.
Yeah, I want to make an apology also because remember we have interns that are working the boards and every song that they select is not the song of our choosing in the sense that it is absent of vulgarity. So please accept my apologies as station owner for the previous song that was being played there that was not vetted through the production staff. But anyway, that being said, mistakes happen and we're going to move on from there. I want you to let me know what your thoughts are regarding the topic on today. I want you to weigh in and share your thoughts, and I want to ask you a question. Are your children safe constitutionally in their local schools, on the local school campus? Even those of you who don't have behavior issues, your child could be, as this child that we mentioned earlier, swept up in a controversy of all sorts, all because she was under pressure. And according to Gwinnett County's student handbook, this student who gave the student that pressured her a pill of which the nurse was asked to hold the medicine to the end of the day. The nurse said, no, take it with you. In the Gwinnett County school system, this student, as innocent as she was, that gave the student the pill, would be considered a drug trafficker and a user and possession of and distributing drugs in the local school campus. And I am absolutely surprised that she was not levied. More charges could have been levied against her according to the procedures that is allowed to take place at that local campus. And so, I mean, parents, do I need to say anything else? This is alarming. This is troubling. And this is not respective to Georgia. This is not respective to the South. Schools have been given ravenous authority to possibly ruin the potentiality of your child's educational journey. And I trust and I hope that I will be hearing from you. Email me at globalcoverage@SelectUSATV.info or MarcusSelect@gmail.com. Questions and or comments And until next time, we're going to close it out with Cassandra Stewart. Yes, because we're going to need Jesus on this one right here. Not to say that he solves everything, because there is a work that you and I must do, but he has given us the solution that lasts beyond the moment. And that is what we're going to close out with today. Cassandra Stewart, don't forget to visit our website, www.csmusicgirl.com. And until next time, you've been listening to the sounds of SIBN Atlanta.
There's a praise in my spirit and I can't hold it in. If I tell all he's done for me, where would I begin? His love is the reason I'm alive and it shows. Don't tell it everywhere I go. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. No, can't nobody do me like the Lord. No one. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. No, can't nobody do me like the Lord. No one. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, no. Nobody, 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 nobody, no. There were days that I could not get out of the bed. For healing and a love that wouldn't fade. Me with the love that I never felt. And I live without you. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Nobody, nobody, no. 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 So get up on your feet and lift your hands up to the King. No matter young or old, we all give him the glory. Everybody has a testimony, truth be told. So if anybody asks you who, better tell them no. Nobody, 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 no one. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Nobody, nobody, no. No, no, no. Nobody, nobody, no. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Nobody do me like Jesus.
You're listening to SIBN Radio on USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIBN Radio.
I'm Novula, aka Sunshine, and we here in South Africa are tuned in to SIBN Radio at www.415-96radio.com. If you would like to know more about the SIBN television and radio network, complete a contact form at the website www.415-96radio.com. Salet USA TV, reaching the world.